Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
I am ready for the event.
W Radio, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Para ayudar a muchas de las escuelas aquí en Miami-Dade, así que vamos a estar trabajando con los Dolphins, vamos a estar trabajando con las escuelas para poder darle más auge a este programa para que los niños participen.
Diana, sabemos que va a haber invitados, más allá de que es un evento para la prensa, de algunos jugadores muy importantes.
Sí, vamos a tener varios jugadores aquí en el evento, pero que también van a ser que han jugado anteriormente para el grupo de los Dolphins, pero también las personas que participan, los estudiantes en el programa, y ellos califican la escuela califica hasta número de horas que han contribuido para el programa. Ellos pueden ganarse apariencias de los jugadores de los Dolphins en sus escuelas, así que por favor visiten al español.fueluptoplay60.com para que puedan aprender sobre todas las recompensas que se pueden ganar para participar en este programa.
Sí, simplemente para remarcar entonces, la página web que ya la pueden ver es Fuel Up to Play. Y Fuel es como combustible para la gente. At the station.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Just stand by one, please.
Commander Kelly, can you hear me?
Yeah, I have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the space station.
What a pleasure, Captain. I don't know what to say. Good morning, good evening. Where are you? What is night, is day? Where are you right now?
Well, it's about 6:30 in the evening. We're on Greenwich time, and I think we're in darkness, and looks like somewhere over kind of approaching Australia in the South Pacific.
Commander, a few days ago, we saw a beautiful moon from the Earth. Beautiful, red moon. You were closer, 400 kilometers closer. Did you watch, and what was the experience of the moon since there?
Well, on that particular day of the lunar eclipse, unfortunately, where it was occurring with regards to our sky and where our windows are located, we really couldn't see it from the space station. Plus, it was in the middle of the night, so those two reasons why we didn't see it. But in general, the moon and the Earth and the stars are very, very beautiful to see from here. And, it's something we enjoy looking at, certainly.
Commander, we are in South America, in Bogota, Colombia. Sometimes you look to the window and you try to find your house in the United States?
Well, yeah, but that's only because we have this giant lens camera, and it's got, like, with the doubler on it, like a 1,200 millimeter lens. Otherwise, we really couldn't see anything with the naked eye that is human-made, with the exception of you can kind of see, airports. You can see cities and tell they're cities, but it's not like you'd be able to see a particular building without the aid of a camera or binoculars.
Commander, how is your day? At what time do you wake up, and how is a regular day?
So we get up at, between 6 and 6:45 in the morning. We have a meeting with the ground called the Daily Planning Conference, generally at about 7:30 in the morning. And again, that's on Greenwich Mean Time because it's a very, I wouldn't say convenient, but it's a time that works for all the different control centers around the world that have to work together. And, then our day progresses from there. We work basically until 7 o'clock, 7:15 in the evening, and, have a lot of activities to do, scientific experiments, maintenance on the space station, just general, housekeeping, keeping this orbiting laboratory running, as well as the exercise time we have up here is done during the day.
Commander Kelly, NASA have plans to send humans to Mars in 2030. But with the latest discovery of liquid water and knowing that water means fuel for your spaceship, is there a chance that that goal can be reduced few years? And if so, you would be, or would you like to be in that very first mission?
Well, I don't think us finding water would accelerate our mission to Mars. Maybe if we found a bunch of money, that would probably help a lot more because that's one of the things we really need to go to Mars is the funding. Um, and the technology we understand. I think a lot of what we need to do to get there, but funding is one of the things in the critical path. So I don't think the water helps us in that regard, but it is very exciting. It does help us in other ways. Once we get there, having water is very important. Obviously, you need water to sustain life. It'd be great if we didn't have to bring it all with us. We could maybe get it out of the Martian atmosphere or out of the soil. And like you said, you can use liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen to propel a rocket. So, having available water may be a source to be able to use for your rocket engine.
Commander Kelly, your current mission is unique. Your twin brother is here on Earth, and the idea is to compare your health with his to see the variations during this year on space. So far, have you learned something special? Do you feel younger than him?
Well, I hope I look younger, but I don't know that I feel younger. Um, that science is it's very sophisticated, complicated. It's looking at us on a genetic level. And much of the way we do that is through samples of blood and other bodily substances, both taken here on orbit and on the ground. And in the case of mine, they're sent back to the ground. And a whole lot of analysis has to be done, a whole lot of research and, publishing of the results. So I don't know of any particular findings thus far. It doesn't mean there aren't any really, but, that will take time. But I'm sure we're going to learn some exciting stuff.
Commander, could you describe for our listeners what is the most amazing and surprising thing you have seen through the window?
Well, through the window, there's a lot of beautiful sights. But a few months ago, we saw some aurora australis, the southern aurora. It's hard to say sometimes. That was pretty spectacular. That just really enveloped the space station. And not only could you see the green colors of this particular aurora, but you could also see the red colors with your naked eye. So, that on this particular flight was one of the most incredible thing I've seen out the window.
Commander Kelly, recently you said via Twitter, you're so active via Twitter, that your favorite color looking the planet is blue, but it's green, the one you miss the most. And then you said that from space, you can see a very thin and weak line of the atmosphere. How bad is climate change affecting our planet, and what's NASA doing about it?
Well, I believe, climate change is real. I believe that, humans have an effect on it. I don't know exactly, what level that effect is, but I think it is significant. And, NASA studies the Earth, and we have a lot of scientists that do this type of research, and we're part of the larger community of, scientific investigators that have, documented the impacts of, the humans on our environment.
Commander Kelly, we all hope to be alive to see a long-term mission to Mars, but radiation effects and the absence of gravity are a big challenge for the human body. I wonder why the current designs don't include some sort of artificial centrifugal gravity. Are you doing some experiments about that on the ISS?
So, that would be great. and maybe that would be part of the design of a spacecraft to use artificial gravity. It's been documented in many movies, and certainly, in theory, that would work. We do have negative effects on our physiology from the absence of gravity, but we do have ways to mitigate those by exercise and diet. Maybe there'll be other ways found in the future. So, yeah, that is an option, and possibly that'll be designed into the vehicle. That'll hopefully go to Mars in my lifetime. I'd love to see it, and I probably won't be able to participate in it directly as a crew member, but maybe in some other capacity.
Commander, this is our last question.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the W radio portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from WGN Radio.
Station, this is WGN Radio. How do you hear us?
Have you loud and clear.
Excellent. Well, on the super celebrity satellite, I think there's no other way to put this, Anna. We've got
awesome.
One of the great American heroes, Commander Scott Kelly, on board the International Space Station. And Commander, first of all, congratulations. You just made the halfway point of your year in space. And physically, do you feel better than you did 190 days ago, or worse?
That's a tough question. I feel better in some ways in that, gravity, and the effects on your joints and things on Earth as you get older, and I'm, in my early 50s now, is something that I don't experience up here. So, in that regard, it's better. So, I think I wouldn't say I feel bad because I've been up here for, over 6 months.
So when you return to Earth, they've talked to you now, obviously a year in space. It's gonna take a toll in terms of all that. What will you experience when you come back to Earth in terms of how your joints are going to feel, or vertigo or anything like that? What have they told you to expect?
Well, I flew a flight about 4 or 5 years ago now to the space station that was 159 days long. When I got back from that flight, vertigo was something you experience initially. For me, that kind of cleared up pretty quickly. Within, several hours, I was feeling much better. What took a much longer time was the soreness of muscles and joints that, for me, lasted, about a month. Also, you're pretty fatigued when you get home, and for a number of reasons, and I expect that'll be the same or maybe even worse this time.
Commander, I want to ask about the twin experiments, and your brother Mark here on Earth is mirroring a lot of the activities you're doing there. And I guess, so how do you know he's doing a good job at it? Are you in constant contact with him? And we also wanted to ask, what if he slips in a Corona or cheats a little bit? Are you able to do that in space? And how does this work?
Well, part of the research is not him being on a similar diet. That was, really not deemed practical. He wouldn't want to eat this food although it's not bad if you had to eat this stuff by choice for a whole year when your friends and family are, diving into a steak. That would be, I think, considered cruel and unusual punishment. But so most of what he does is, the same type of blood and other bodily samples that are getting from me, and MRIs and other type of, imaging technology that's used on him. So do I know if he's cheating? I don't think there's a whole lot he can be cheating on, and I know he is keeping up with getting the samples. He was in Houston just the other day doing some of that.
So now let's talk a little bit about this incredible year for NASA and for the space program, I think, in a lot of ways, and just for a human's understanding of what's going on. You had Pluto, you had the intercept of a comet, and now the water on Mars. And I think that certainly some of the experiments that you guys are doing here, that you and your brother are doing, and that you're doing up on the International Space Station, is duration. That's intended to be a part of that research will go into whatever the manned Mars mission is. How important do you think, in terms of funding, these discoveries have been, and specifically the water on Mars?
Hopefully it's it's a positive thing. Like any government agency, NASA needs funding at an appropriate level, and demonstrating success in anything, whether it's NASA or other government agencies, I think is important to get the the political support that you need to get the funded at the appropriate level. So yeah, I think it's a great thing, and each of those different missions you mentioned have captured people's imaginations in their own way. And, like you said with the last one with the water on Mars, really, hopefully someday it'll help when we get there and we don't have to bring all this water with us. And, water is important for life, and, maybe means that there, is life there somewhere to be found, or ancient life, and provides possibly a way to make fuel to get home. So it's a great thing.
Commander, also, I wanted to ask you, anybody who's seen The Martian with Matt Damon has seen how he was growing his own food up on Mars, as it were. Are you guys growing food there on the space station? If so, how's that going?
Yeah, so we grew some lettuce a few months ago, and it went great. And, hopefully from that experiment and experiments to come, we'll learn to grow more food on orbit and potentially use that technology to go to Mars someday or elsewhere, or just to be able to sustain ourselves here in low Earth orbit.
A couple of days ago, you tweeted a picture of Chicago with the Aurora Borealis over. It was a great shot from your vantage point of the southern part of Lake Michigan at night, with the all the urban light of Chicago and Milwaukee, and then that great green over that. I know that you've talked about how incredible it is to see Earth from that vantage point, but what do you miss most about being on Earth?
You miss the people, your friends, your family, people you love at home, certainly. Not that you don't like the people up here, but, variety is kind of important in that regard. But the other thing is just being outside. I mean, we don't go outside at all. Occasionally you get to do a spacewalk. We got one coming up here, actually two coming up here in the next several weeks, but it's not the same thing. And just the freedom to kind of do what you want, walk outside your house is something we definitely miss.
Is there what's the most spectacular thing that you think you've seen? What are some of the images that you're going to take away from this?
I think what I will learn from this. Let's talk about that first. Is just I think the potential for us to do things that are really, really hard. Building this space station was hard. This is an amazing facility. We do amazing research up here. It takes an army of people on the ground, not only in the United States but all around the world, to make this program happen. That's just the limit of human potential, I think, is incredible, and the space program is a great place for our nation and other nations to do that. As far as visually seeing, the Earth never disappoints. When I think I've seen it all, I see something, new and spectacular, and hopefully I'll be able to keep those images with me for a while.
Yeah. Commander, thank you so much. Appreciate everything you're doing, not only for the United States, but for the world at the International Space Station. And I hope that all the whatever it is that comes out of this, whether it's a mission to Mars or whatever it happens to be, that you take a very, very important place in the history of the American space program. So we thank you for that.
Thanks, Commander.
Thank you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, W Radio and WGN Radio. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.